Is my screen visible?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, now it's visible.
Okay, cool. Chalo. All right. Good evening, everyone. This is the next webinar session for healthcare professionals. We are ready. Just give us a couple of minutes. There are some participants who are joining in, so give us a couple of minutes and we'll start the webinar. Guys, there is an option of questions over here. If you can, whatever questions you get in between your webinar, if you can just put it on the question section, our counselors or us, someone will answer them for sure. All right, we'll begin. Yeah. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the webinar conducted by Imperial on options for medical or healthcare students abroad. Guys, we'll be very clear about this. We'll be providing you with options, or we'll be discussing options regarding paramedical courses, and maybe yes, after paramedical courses, if you wish to do a clinical course, how to go about it. But this discussion will not be a lot about the clinical aspect because it's a very different ball game altogether. All right. So guys, once again, good evening, and we'll begin the webinar now. So most of you who are attending this webinar, you are either you are all healthcare professionals. Either you are MBBS holder, or maybe BDS, or BAMS, BHMS. Some of you are even BPT, or some are from pharma background. Different background people have come in today to attend this webinar. So there are different options available for you across the globe. First of all, let me introduce the speakers over here. I am Hiren Rathod. I'm the business head for US, Europe, and Canada at Imperial. We have Ms. Kiran Sahani over here. She is the director and she takes care of Australia New Zealand counseling at Imperial. We have Mr. Ankur Rupani, who is the business head for the GRE, GMAT, I mean the training wing basically. We have Ms. Sonali Palkar, who is the lead counselor for Canada. We have Mr. Akshay Bhandari, who is the lead counselor for Europe. We are waiting for Mr. Bani Singh Sahni to join in. He is our financial advisor, financial counselor. He'll be discussing regarding loan, economical impact owing COVID and all over here. He is one of the best financial consultants that I have seen in my life. So yeah, he'll be discussing about these things with you. So okay, so let's begin. Once again, good evening, everyone. And there are different options available for you guys across the globe. Like for example, many of you, after doing an clinical degree in India, maybe with regards to MBBS, maybe BDS, maybe a BPT or a BMS, BHMS, would want to preferably go there and study and work in the clinical field. But as you all are aware of that, I mean, as you all are aware of that, for you to practice or study in the clinical field, the idea is like it's a bit difficult because there are different exams that you need to appear wherever you go for. So owing to that, what happens is many times students, they come to us, we discuss them with them different options, and one of the options that they select, and one of the options that is more feasible for everyone, is to go for something to do with paramedical course. Which all courses are available, we'll discuss later in the due course of time. But yes, there are courses available in the paramedical field for you all. And while pursuing these courses, while working on these courses, you can still work on your preparation for the exams like USMLE, NBD, etc., which would obviously be helpful for you in the future.
To the sessions in college. तो अभी हम चल रहा है.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, I would, before we discuss this, I would just like to run a small poll for all of you. If you can just vote, we'll give 15 to 20 seconds to all of you to vote. Yeah. Okay, guys. So that's a good mix of US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand. There's none asset for Europe from what we see, but I'm sure Akshay sir, after you talk something, people might be encouraged to go to Europe.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, now we are living in unprecedented times. I mean, the pandemic that has struck us right now. You guys are healthcare professionals. You know this more than what we do, honestly speaking, as to what is happening across the globe. But the point is, you guys know this better, and you guys know that this is something which is, I mean, which has stuck the world like anything. And the healthcare workers all across, are doing their best to help people out. So what is happening is people are trying to understand कि sir यहाँ पे jobs available है या नहीं है, sir वहाँ पे jobs available है या नहीं है. So I would like to tell you one thing, that wherever you go, there are jobs available for people, especially in the healthcare sector. People are doing quite well. There is no problem at all. If you look at some statistics over here, every year almost, like, if you look at it, in the US, especially in the paramedical field, that is to do with healthcare management, public health, or health policy making, or even to do with health informatics or anything of these sort. On an average, there is a growth of around 20-23% since last few years, and it's going to be there. It's still going to be there. So, and with these courses, these professions that we're talking about, it's not just the hospitals, even in colleges, even in pharmaceutical companies, even in any public policy health making company. Like, for example, even a WHO can hire you people. Okay, obviously WHO is a long shot, but the point is it is possible, wherein WHO can also hire you people. So these are the different domains that you can look into. These are the different things that you can look into, and there are jobs available for all of you in these domains. Oops, sorry. Yeah, and guys, one more thing, very critically, I would like to tell you, many of you or your friends or people, they would wish to go for the clinical side of the courses in these countries. One thing, very honestly speaking, getting admission into the clinical part is a bit difficult. That's the reason why we encourage many students to go for the paramedical field. While pursuing your masters in the paramedical field, or while practicing in the working in the paramedical field, you can appear, or you can start working on your license, sorry, your exams for this thing, what do we say, you will start working on your exams which are needed for the clinical field as well after you reach there. And once you reach there, it becomes very simple for you to do that, because the idea is that wherever you are appearing for exams for the clinical field, there is a very good chance that you will have to work under a professor or a doctor. Sitting in India, you don't know how the professors or the doctors in US think, or whichever country you go to, they think. But when you go for a master's over there, while you're studying your master's, you're pursuing your master's, you're exactly what they think, what they know, what they understand about you, or what you understand about them. So owing to that, life becomes simpler for you. So post that, clearing the clinical exams becomes comparatively easier than going directly. So this is something that you guys need to understand. We'll touch base on this in the future, near future as well. So next, when we talk about Canada, Sonali ma'am, would you like to take this over?
Yeah, definitely. Yes. So courses, similar courses, as Hiren sir spoke about the courses available in US, same kind of courses are available in Canada, and same policies apply where, it's kind of difficult to go and move in for clinical courses. So we always encourage students to go for paramedical courses instead, which are easier to get into and have good job prospects in countries that we're going to discuss. Coming to specifically the Canada part, now immigration has been created a major impact on the Canadian population and the job sector. So immigration has also been, strategies to fill up these roles which do not have really, which the Canadian population is not really inclined towards, I could say. So essentially the healthcare workers roles are fulfilled by mostly the immigrants who go to Canada and plan to settle down over there. A total of around 2.5 lakh healthcare jobs were added in the past 5 years, which totally reflects the kind of demand there is in Canada regarding healthcare sectors. Now, what I mean by healthcare is healthcare involves clinical to non-clinical, and we are going to explore more about the non-clinical side in this entire webinar. Now, these 2.5 lakhs jobs which were added in the past 5 years approximately contributed to 1/5 of the total job market. So healthcare is one of the booming industries in Canada. There are people required, and there is a steady growth in the sector every year. So around 2.1% of growth is seen every year in the healthcare field. There has also been a shortage of these highly skilled workers, not because fact that most of the Canadian population is an aging population as we speak right now, or in the years to come, most of them are going to retire or are planning their retirement. So to fill up jobs now, employers are actually looking forward to hire students who have come from other countries to study in Canada, or immigrants who migrate and want to work in this field. So employers are actually keen on hiring foreign workers because they bring in a good number of expertise in the field, or add to good number of years of experience that they bring along, that really contributes to the Canadian economy. So apart from the overall growth, there is also a demand which the Canadian government is not able to meet, we could say. So moving to Canada for courses like these, especially in the healthcare field, specifically in the time that we are now, I think it makes a lot of sense to me. And there's always going to be a demand for these kind of students, graduates actually, people who graduate with degrees in the healthcare sector. So yes, we are going to explore more about how this goes in Canada in the next coming slides. If I think Akshay sir could take over.
So we have Kiran ma'am here discussing
Okay.
regarding options available in Australia and New Zealand.
Yes. Hi, good evening, students. Thank you so much for joining us. So we'll be talking about Australia and New Zealand and the scenario of healthcare. So just as Sonali ma'am said, and Hiren sir said, with in the current situation and with COVID-19, there's just more attention being paid to healthcare workers, and healthcare is actually a stream which is in demand across the globe, and that can also be seen in Australia and New Zealand. So Australia and New Zealand have, I'm sure that all of you are already aware that Australia and New Zealand have handled the COVID situation pretty well. In fact, probably better than most of the world. So that just speaks well about their healthcare system. So it's a huge, basically Australia, relies heavily on healthcare as their largest employer. So currently more than 1.5 million people are employed within the healthcare system, healthcare, stream and healthcare industry. Just like, most of the developed countries, Australia also has an aging population. So with an aging population, what happens is that there's a huge demand for, professionals in healthcare and aged care related services. That can be seen in Australia, and over the past 5 years, more than 17% of jobs have been created in the healthcare system. That is more than any other sector across the country. And it is like with COVID, we know that percentage is surely going to grow. There are more than 47,000 jobs that were added in the last 3 months. This was as of March 2020. And of course, with COVID, this number would have definitely increased. Healthcare and medical industry is basically it's a sector which is hard to fill by the local Australians. So what they do is they rely on migrant, skilled workers to fill up these positions and to come to Australia, study, and keep working and continuing and serving the Australian economy. So with the lagging number of Australian graduates, it is definitely a fact that they would be looking more at the immigrants to fill up these positions. So this is about Australia. Can we move on to the next slide, Akshay?
Yeah.
Yeah, we have moved to the next slide, HK.
All right, thank you. I could not see it. Okay. So
problem.
in New Zealand, so in New Zealand, 1 out of 4 people is over the age of 65. So this is a huge problem for the country, and it poses a huge, in the sense, a huge demand for people who are in the aged care professions and other allied healthcare fields. So uh, and the fact with New Zealand is that more than 41% of their overall healthcare professionals come from outside of New Zealand. So that's a huge population, and in the future as well, they look at top migrant talent to fill the gaps. Because the New Zealand workforce is just not able to fulfill the demands of the healthcare system, and that's why they rely more on students coming from the outside, from other countries. And both for Australia and New Zealand, over 40 categories of healthcare occupations are mentioned on the skilled occupation list. Basically, both Australia and New Zealand have very favorable system for permanent residency, in which what they do is they list a few occupations that they are short of. So if they are short of healthcare professionals, they would list it in their skilled occupation list, and it becomes very easy. If you are from that field, it becomes a very easy process for you to get a permanent residency. So as per the Australian and New Zealand government websites, they have listed over 40 categories of healthcare professions, occupations, on the skilled occupation list. So that's a very positive sign for students who are looking at, studying these courses in either of these 2 countries. We have in the past sent students to Australia for healthcare administration, public health, health sciences, biomedical sciences, bioinformatics, and many other fields. So it's a good option, and both Australia and New Zealand are easy to get into and favorable for PR. Over to you, Akshay.
Thank you, HK. So, sorry, my bad. Yeah, sorry, guys. Yeah, Akshay sir.
Okay, so when we basically talk about say the non-clinical field, basically in UK, so if you want to practice ऐसे अलग से, तो you will have to be registered with NHS. Okay, so तुम्हारा पूरा licensing का process and everything will be taken care by NHS. And for this field, when we look at the field of paramedical साइंसेस इन द यूनाइटेड किंगडम, तो स्टूडेंट को बहुत अच्छा सपोर्ट भी अवेलेबल है फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ यूके. As it is rightly mentioned here, कि this intake, so Brexit happened a couple of months back, and now in UK you have a 2 years of post-study work visa. So from September 2020, student will be receiving scholarship, or basically funding of £5,000 a year, and there is up to 3,000 further funding available. मतलब ये फंडिंग है. So what we can see this कि because वो फंडिंग दे रहे हैं and बाकी सारी PSW भी अभी applicable है, So they want student to come there to work in this field. Because so what happens is in the field of paramedical, experience is also very important. And जैसे जैसे हम experience लेंगे, so UK as a country visa renewals are easy. तुम चाहिए उतनी बार अपना visa renew कर सकते हो. And healthcare वाला sector तो in any ways जैसे बाकी भी panelists ने discuss किया, it is the career is in boom right now everywhere across the globe. So you can go into management, you can go into administration, and बाकी normal health and safety related भी कुछ government की schemes वगैरह आते हैं. You can go in that domain. So overall, this field is very good when it comes to UK. And यहाँ पे language barrier नहीं आता. UK में अपना जो पूरा course है, is everything is covered in English language. And when we talk basically about Europe, Hiren sir, can we move on to Europe?
Sorry, just give me a second, sir. My screen has frozen, unfortunately. You can keep talking, keep on talking. I'll just sort this out.
Okay, so when we basically talk about say education in Europe, क्या होता है, every European country is associated with some or the other language. So you being into the field of health administration and healthcare, language is very important. See, because in normal terms भी जो भी patients वगैरह तुम्हारे पास आएंगे, जिनसे भी आप interact करोगे, you will be interacting with them in their local language. So health administration की जब भी बात आती है या healthcare industry की, so when we basically talk about Europe, so English के अलावा you will have to learn their local language as well. Also, secondary thing, every country has a different registration process. Every country has basically a registration council जो if you want to practice on your own, वो तुमको तुम्हारा जो पूरा registration का process है, they will basically carry out that. And जैसे ये यहाँ पे जो है EMPH जिसको कहते हैं, European Masters of Public Health, तो अगर हम Masters in Public Health करते हैं तो हमें ये जो certificate है European Masters of Public Health, इसके लिए we'll have to basically complete a 6 months का mandatory internship. इन यूरोप में कहीं पे भी, मतलब यूरोपियन यूनियन में तुम कहीं पे भी वो ले सकते हो, उसमें कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. बट फॉर 6 months, like after your course, for 6 months you will have to work in some organization or some under some professional, and then you can apply for license and practice on your own. And जैसे जो job fields है, जैसे हमने अभी बाकी सारे कंट्रीज के लिए भी जो डिस्कस किया, so you can go into biology, biomedical, बायोटेक है, हेल्थ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है. बट यूरोप में a very important thing, you will have to learn the language. And if ever you are planning to apply for clinical courses in Europe, तो clinical courses are not taught in English language. तो clinical courses के लिए वो language में proficiency होना बहुत जरूरी है. If we talk about normal से, अगर मुझे मेडिसिन करना है जर्मनी में, so B2 या C1 level का proficiency, so every European language has 6 levels, A1 से A1, A2, B1, B2 and C1, C2. तो तुमको minimum 4 से 5 level करने पड़ेंगे to be to go for a proper clinical course in anywhere in Europe. Over to you, Hiren sir.
Yeah, so continuing further, guys, मतलब पढ़ाई तो करोगे वो तो मान लिया, पर उसके बाद स्टे बैक का क्या, जॉब का क्या? क्योंकि whenever we talk about education abroad, we just don't talk about education, right? We need to learn or we need to understand कि बॉस आगे जॉब मिलेगी क्या, पगार मिलेगा क्या, रुकने मिलेगा क्या. So there are many things that you need to understand. Again, when we look at it, on an average, US every year employs around 100,000, that is 1 lakh people in this domain, in the health domain. Okay. Again, as पहले भी बताया था, there has been a hike by around 20% gradually in the last few years. Okay. मतलब there are, I mean, last एक decade में देखोगे तो 2.4 million नए jobs US में आपको ये sector में मिले हैं. So it's an upward trend. It's an absolute upward trend because again, healthcare professionals are needed. Even now in the time of the pandemic, other fields, maybe the people are losing jobs here or there. In your field, in this field, yes, again, here also people are losing jobs. I'm not saying no, but the relative number is quite low as compared to the other fields. So this is something that you guys need to understand. Jobs are available in plenty. अगर लोग बोलते हैं कि पैरामेडिकल में जाओगे या हेल्थ केयर में जाओगे जहाँ पे क्लिक नहीं करोगे तो नौकरी नहीं मिलेगी वगैरह वगैरह, वो गलत है. We have sent students in the domain of healthcare in MPH or MHA, etc., and they are doing quite well when it comes to the job. I mean, they have gotten the job, they have gotten good salaries. Average starting salary for MPH or MHA graduate holder is around $70,000 to $80,000 per annum. People are drawing good salaries. Now, when we come to the main part, like the last part, if you can see over here, sorry guys, if you can see my mouse, it's a STEM versus non-STEM thing. Now, understand. Whenever we talk about US, it's always divided into two parts. One is STEM and one is non-STEM. STEM is basically science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Okay. When we talk about STEM, after you're done with your masters, you get a 3-year stay-back option. If you go for a non-STEM course after your masters, you get only a 1-year stay-back option. So obviously, people would want to go for a STEM course. They would not want to preferably go for a non-STEM course. Till a few years back, that's around 2-3 years back, all these courses that we're talking about, which we'll discuss in the further slides, quite a good number of them used to come under the non-STEM category. Of late, in the last couple of years, most of them, the universities have started developing curriculum in such a manner कि ये सब STEM में आने लगे हैं. Okay, like for example, क्या होता है ना कि universities know कि ये सब courses के लिए takers है और ज्यादा करके international students है, so they would prefer, I mean, making it STEM by introducing certain aspects. Like किसी ने analytics का part डाल दिया, तो कभी अगर आप देखोगे तो थोड़ा एपिडेमोलॉजी टॉक्सिकोलॉजी आ गया कहीं पे, तो वो भी स्टेम में आता है. सो दे इंट्रोड्यूस न्यूअर कांसेप्ट्स इन द करिकुलम to make it as a STEM course. Okay, so this thing now helps you guys a lot. So it is preferable always for us to go for a STEM course versus a non-STEM course because we get a 3-year stay back option. And उसमें क्या होता है ना, अगर आप 3 साल आपको रुकने मिला तो आपको उतना टाइम भी मिलता है अगर आपका आइडिया है कि ये जो पैरामेडिकल फील्ड है, it is just a platform, it's just a stepping stone for you to jump into the clinical field. So you'll get that much time to prepare for your clinical field exams and take care of your practicals as well. Okay, so I mean, and healthcare में बहुत कुछ आता है. I mean, सिर्फ clinical aspect मतलब वो छोड़ो, पर emotional aspect, psychological aspect, वो सब भी आता है जो आपको सिखाया जाता है. There are some courses जिसमें marketing आता है, finance आता है, accountancy आता है, बहुत कुछ आता है. So this domain, when you talk about healthcare, it's not just about सिर्फ हेल्थ, मतलब आई मीन क्या बोलते हैं उसको, सिर्फ जो क्लिनिकल पार्ट हम देखते हैं वही आता है, वैसे नहीं है. अगेन मार्केटिंग, फाइनेंस, मैनेजमेंट, इमोशन, साइकोलॉजी, सब आता है. All these things together combined is something what you will be learning, or what will be, I mean, this will be helping you. So even if you look at the average salaries, the courses that you're going for roughly have something north higher than $70,000 per annum. So, I mean, these are some good stats for you. Owing to these stats, going for these options is not at all a bad thing for you guys. Okay. So, if I continue further, Sonali ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Sorry, can you go ahead, Hiren sir? This is the slide. Yes, thank you.
I can see this slide. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so healthcare, as we were talking about in Canada, is one of the top paying fields, you could say, and is one of the top paying fields, and mostly immigrants are relied upon to fill up the jobs in this sector, because they are not easily fillable by the Canadian citizens. So immigrants are expected to work in the healthcare field, and hence it is paid very high. Healthcare can range from any particular job sector. We can talk about public health workers, we can talk about hospital administration as administrators. So people who get specific degrees into these courses are also come under the healthcare sector. So it's not typically only clinical. As Hiren sir rightly mentioned, if you wish to eventually build your career in the clinical field, then maybe getting a degree first into these non-clinical sectors and then going over there and preparing will be the right approach. Hiren sir, if you could just go back to the slide, this is the second slide. I would just like to talk about the first one. Yes. So yes, I would just particularly like to talk about two particular fields over here, which is public health and MHA, which is Hospital Administration, which is widely opted by many students who wish to pursue their masters ahead in these kind of fields. Of course, there are students coming to us from the dentistry background as well. So they obviously cannot really get into the dental surgery part very easily. So courses like oral biology or dental implants are the courses which are available for them. So particularly focusing here on public health, if we see into the graph that is posted over here, most of the sorry, that graph is next. Most of the fields, most of the students opt for public health and MHA courses, as I was talking about. And the graph here mentions what has been the increment rate according to the industry in the year 2019. The 2020 data has not come out yet, but I'm sure it is going to be more or less the similar. Well, healthcare is going to be one of the top ranking fields. So there was an increment of 8%. I am talking increment in terms of the salaries which are paid over here. Usual salaries for healthcare workers range anywhere between $70,000, that is the starting salaries for freshers, and can go up to $150,000 and sometimes $200,000 depending on the experience that you bring. So, and especially if you're looking for a PR, the Canadian experience, work experience really matters when you're applying for a PR. So if you're planning to settle down in Canada, this would be a good opportunity to go get your degree, earn those CRS points, which will be necessary for applying for your PR. Eventually get some work experience, which will again add to your PR, and then you can plan to settle down in Canada. Now, healthcare really consistently has been dominating the list of top 50 job sectors in Canada. This is the statistics by the Canadian government, and as we spoke earlier as well, the aging population and people who are planning to retire in the coming couple of years as well contribute to the overburdening that is going to happen to the Canadian healthcare system. The healthcare system is very well built, wherein the public has good access to almost most of the facilities, I would say, for free, and sometimes workers with valid visa and students with valid visas can also take benefits of this healthcare system. So this essentially calls for more healthcare workers into the field. As we spoke earlier as well, the supply is less and the demand is more. So to fill up these seats, guys like you who are planning to pursue your masters will be valued and will be paid accordingly. Moving to the next slide. Sorry, I can't see. Have you gone to the next slide? Okay, yeah.
Yes, ma'am,
so
I
as
have.
I said, okay. As we were saying, around $70,000 to around $150,000 is the average pay of healthcare workers, specifically to the field of maybe dentistry, or when we talk about public health workers or hospital administrators. On the right hand side, I have given a brief average salaries as well as the growth percentage by 2022 that we can expect. Coming to the part about stay back in Canada, Canada does not really have the STEM and non-STEM categorization on which the stay back a student gets is based. It usually calculates the stay back of a student depending on the duration of the program. So any program which you're going to pursue is going above 16 months, you're essentially going to get a 3-year of PGWP, that is postgraduate work permit. So any courses above 16 months get up to 3 years of stay back, and any courses up to 1 year, 8 months to 1 year, usually they are master's courses, certificates, or maybe diploma courses, get up to 1 year of stay back. So you need to plan accordingly and choose a course with that exactly align your goals, as well as look at the stay back options that you have and accordingly go for courses. Canada offers PhDs, it has masters in addition to diplomas, certificates that you can pursue over there in universities as well as colleges. So first think about what exactly do you want to do and how much you want to spend, and accordingly we can plan a chart your career accordingly, and eventually you can land up in Canada and then apply for a visa. So that's from me. Over to you, HK ma'am, if you could continue with Australia and
Yes, thank you. Yes, so basically, just like Hiren sir and Sonali ma'am have said that the COVID situation has just made all the countries realize how important the healthcare professionals are, and even though these are extremely developed countries, but they are still short of healthcare professionals when such a situation arises. So I was reading a lot of articles before collecting this data for all the students, and everywhere it was mentioned that there's no better time to apply for your master's degree in healthcare, any healthcare field than now, because right now every country has realized the importance of your profession, and hence getting jobs, getting internships, getting projects, getting part-time work is going to be really easy. So coming to Australia and talking about non-clinical courses, in Australia, the average salary is anywhere between 80 to $110,000 Australian dollars, which is definitely higher than most other fields like business or engineering or humanities or design or any other field. So it's a field that is probably one of the most stable and highly paid, and sees a huge growth in the next 5 or 10 years. So it is definitely a profession that is highly sought after and easy to get jobs. And there's also a concept of regional job opportunities when it comes to Australia. So Australia has three major cities, as you all would know, which is Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. Now, what the Australian government has realized is that they don't want students coming only to these three big cities. They want skilled people in all parts of Australia, so that the country is uniformly developed and there are skilled people in all parts of the country. And this especially holds true for healthcare professionals, because it is extremely important for even the smaller towns and the remote towns to have healthcare professionals. So if you are looking at going to a regional university or a regional area to study and work, it is much easier for a student to get a longer stay back option and get a PR, right? Can we move on to New Zealand, please? So New Zealand also, for New Zealand, a $72,000 average salary is a big salary. Like generally in New Zealand, the average salaries for engineers, for business professions, other professions is somewhere close to $50,000. So if a fresher public health or healthcare professional makes an average salary of 70,000, that's huge for New Zealand. And as I mentioned, that 41% of the healthcare workforce is, coming from outside of New Zealand, which just shows that there's there is ample opportunity, and there's a huge requirement for healthcare professionals from outside the country. And the starting salary, and of course, where the salary goes really depends on your experience. So if you already have some exposure and experience in India, and then you are studying in Australia or New Zealand, definitely your salary would be impacted in that sense. So, one of like there are also, like Australia, there are ample opportunities in Auckland, Wellington, and Christchurch. This regional university concept also holds in New Zealand, where, of course, if you think of New Zealand, you think of Auckland, and Auckland is the most popular city of New Zealand, and most students are attracted to it because they have some really good universities and probably the most populated city of the country. But they also want, the country wants students to come to other parts of New Zealand, and especially South Island. So South Island is so scarcely populated that if you go and study in South Island, there is no dearth of opportunities and jobs because they really need people. So, if you are somebody who's looking at job opportunities and who's, looking for safe opportunities, then look for regional universities and look for, jobs that are available in regional towns, both in Australia and New Zealand. Next slide, please. All right, so the course structure of Australia and New Zealand are a bit different. In Australia, the only option that a student has is doing a master's course. Like a master's can be by coursework or a master's can be by research. So for those who are interested in research, you can look at a master's by research, which would require a research proposal and other things, which we can discuss in detail later on. And master's by coursework is generally what most students opt for, which include internships or which includes a project at the end. And the stay back option, which is called the post-study work visa. If you study in Melbourne, Brisbane, and Sydney, which are the 3 biggest cities, you get 2 years of stay back. And if you study in a regional town like Adelaide or Perth or Canberra, which is the capital of the country, or any other city, you are going to get up to 4 years of stay back option, which is the 4 years of post-study work. Coming to New Zealand, there are different categories. There are different types of options available. There, of course, is a master's course available, which is anywhere between 1 to 1.5 years. And again, if it's outside, for a master's course, there is no difference in the post-study work visa. You get 3 years of post-study work. Whether you do it from Auckland or outside of Auckland doesn't matter. But there are also 2 other categories of options, which is postgraduate diploma and graduate diploma, which basically are much easier to get into if you have a lower percentage, and eligibility criteria is much easier. So which we'll come to in the next slide. The stay back option for this is dependent on which city you are studying from. So if you're outside of Auckland, it really is an advantage. Over to you, Akshay sir.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, Akshay sir, go ahead.
Okay, so when we basically talk about, say, the job opportunities in Europe, again, the statistics of Europe is in the same manner as compared to other countries. So there is an aging population. So उनको young generation की जरूरत है, उनको आप जैसे healthcare professionals की जरूरत है. And can we have the Europe वाला slide, please?
Europe slide is there. Maybe you're not able to see it.
Yeah.
It was there.
Which slide are you asking for, Akshay sir?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, it has been there. Anyways, continue.
Okay, so when we basically talk about, say, the scope, जैसे मैंने कहा कि there is an aging population, so definitely healthcare professionals की जरूरत है, which we have highlighted in the very first point, and the healthcare professional, this field is going to
I think Akshay sir is facing some network issues.
Yeah, I guess there is some internet issue at his end.
Network issue.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're audible now.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we were basically talking about Europe, aging population, and the healthcare industry, okay, so the very first point, healthcare industry is going from 600 million to 2 billion. In the coming years, there is a huge demand, and in this situation of Corona, we have realized, as we have already realized, the importance of this field, and hence this is a very important field. The job prospects to hai, And very important thing for job in any European country, every country comes with a language. तो आपको वो language सीखना ही पड़ेगा if you want to work in any European region. And also one more thing about working in Europe. So there are 29 countries when it comes to the EU, the European Union. So if you study from one, you are allowed to work in other countries which belongs to the part of European Union. But again, one very important thing, every country comes with a language. So वो चीज हमेशा we have to keep in mind. And the stay back, when we basically talk about stay back, it will differ from country to country. So when we talk about, say, UK, Ireland, it is 2 years of stay back. Germany, 1.5 years. France, again, 2 years of stay back. Netherlands, 1 year. Sweden, 6 months. Spain is 6 months. So depending on which country in Europe are you looking for, stay back will, change from country to country. Over to you, Hiren, sir.
Thank you, Akshay sir. Yeah, you want to talk about this or we'll continue further, Akshay sir?
Yeah, so this is, student, just for your reference. You can look like medicine and the first part, which is very important for you, and the natural sciences part. So these are the top in top 5, top 6 sectors. We have your field. So there is definitely a huge scope when it comes to your field across Europe. Yes, Hiren sir, we can continue.
Nice. Thank you, Akshay sir. Now this is the most important slide. बहुत बार बच्चे आते हैं and this is very important. Like let's keep this like ऐसे freeze करके रखते हैं थोड़ी देर के लिए. Guys, why I'm saying this is a very important slide because okay, many a times many medical professionals, healthcare professionals, they come to us and they one thing that I keep on harping every now and then, and because that is what we get, the doubts that we get from the students. सर हमको क्लिनिकल फील्ड में ही जाना है, हमको पैरामेडिकल नहीं चाहिए. Now at times some people, okay, few, not a lot of number, few are successful in getting through the clinical fields in maybe US, Canada, UK, Australia, and wherever they wish to go to. A good chunk of them are unfortunately not so successful. That is when we give them these options. Okay, public health is there, healthcare administration is there, microbiology, biotechnology, biological sciences, because these are the things that you have done. In fact, we have had some students who have even gone for marketing analytics. In fact, this year and last year, we had a couple of students who have been dentists, but they have gone for something like a course in maybe engineering management or maybe something to do with business analytics. So they've done that. Okay, obviously उन सब काफी सारे courses में math आता है. तो काफी सारे स्टूडेंट्स हैं जो पहले से मतलब 3-4 महीने पहले से या 6 महीने पहले से मैथ पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं. जीआरई में भी मैथ आएगा जिसके लिए अंकुर सर आएंगे थोड़ी देर में बात करने को आपसे. बट द पॉइंट इज है इनमें से आप देखोगे तो देयर आर सम कोर्सेज जिसमें मैथ भी इन्वॉल्व है. सो यू कैन स्टार्ट लर्निंग मैथमेटिक्स इन दैट केस. बट अदरवाइज these are the courses which are available for you in a very nice way. These are available in all the countries. These are available, and most of them, if you look at it, are under STEM in the US, actually speaking, if you look at it. So I mean, going for these courses is I mean one of the good things to go ahead with. And इनमें से कोई courses है ना, those are lightweight, मतलब lightweight in the sense those are not so difficult. आपको पूरा दिन भर पढ़ने की जरूरत नहीं होती है. In such cases, what happens is you can actually while doing these courses, you can prepare for your entrance exams for medical profession as well, like the clinical profession. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कहीं पे यूएस एमएलई देना है, किसी को एनबीडी देना है, तो किसी को कोई और एग्जाम देना है. ये सब करते करते भी आप उनका प्रिपरेशन कर सकते हो. सी आइडिया क्या होता है ना, बहुत बार स्टूडेंट्स जिनको क्लिनिकल फील्ड के लिए भी जाना होता है, वहां पे एंट्रेंस एग्जाम देनी होती है. जनरली जो भी कंट्री जाना, वो लोग टूरिस्ट वीजा पे जाते हैं और वहां पे एग्जाम देते हैं. काफी हद तक टूरिस्ट वीजा जो होते हैं वो ये वाले फील्ड के लिए जो जाते होते हैं उनको मिलते नहीं है, उनके अप्रूव नहीं होते हैं. और वहां पे जाके भी वो जो एग्जाम्स है वो फर्स्ट शॉट में क्लियर करना मुश्किल होता है. सो ओविंग टू दैट व्हाट हैपेंस इज it is better to go for these courses on student visa and then in the future start preparing for entrance exam for different courses. Anyone else would like to take this forward?
Sir, I think you have covered most of the parts. The courses which we are talking about are available at almost all of the countries that we're exploring now.
Yes.
So similar kind of courses are available. So I think everybody would agree to that.
Okay, HK ma'am, would you like to say something or?
No, I think you've covered pretty much everything, and that's exactly what the point is, that owing to the difficulty of getting the licenses and getting eligibility into the clinical courses, it just makes life easy if a student chooses a paramedical courses, and then if he still wishes to go for, say, dentistry or medical studies or nursing or whatever course that requires a license, they can always do that while they are there in that country.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, you won't believe, we have had I mean, obviously, but we have had some students again who came from, like, they were dentists or something of that sort, like proper doctors here, and they have gone for informatics or a business analytics course in the US. I mean, होता है.
Yeah.
बड़े बड़े देशों में छोटी छोटी बातें होती रहती है. Okay, guys, continuing further. Yeah. So eligibility criteria, when we talk about requirement, there are different requirements available. Okay. Now, first and foremost, you need to have a good GPA. Many of you, like, again, these are courses for health professionals. What happens is, आपको यहाँ पे जो score मिलता है वो out of 10 मिलता है या out of 100 मिलता है, वैसा होता है. So these universities generally they need a GPA out of 4. Okay, so hence you look at this part, credential evaluation, वो, if you can see my cursor moving, yeah, वो critical हो जाता है. They need a GPA out of 4. Okay, so there is a body known as WES, World Education Service, जो आपका ट्रांसक्रिप्ट लेते हैं वो लोग, और वो इवेलुएट करके आपको GPA out of 4 देते हैं. So I mean, you need that. Okay, GRE 310 plus is recommended, but not hard and fast. 300 के ऊपर आए तो भी चलेगा. इसमें क्या है ना, मतलब अंकुर सर आएंगे इस बात करने. मैथ इज 170, इंग्लिश इज 170. मैथ थोड़ा क्रिटिकल होता है, एंड आप लोग सब डॉक्टर्स हो या मेडिकल प्रोफेशन है, हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशन से हो गए 5-6 साल हो गए, मैथ को हाथ भी नहीं लगाया होगा आपने. आई एम श्योर अबाउट इट. सो उसके वजह से यू विल नीड मोर प्रिपरेशन फॉर दैट. Aggregate obviously 65 plus or maybe 3.2 GPA plus. TOEFL 100 plus is good because again आप हेल्थ केयर प्रोफेशन में जा रहे हो तो there is a good chance कि आपको अलग अलग लोगों से इंटरेक्ट करना पड़ेगा. So TOEFL जो है वो इंग्लिश लिसनिंग, राइटिंग, रीडिंग, स्पीकिंग टेस्ट करता है, तो उसमें भी एक अच्छा स्कोर आना ऑब्वियसली आपके काम आता है. Other than that, your resume, आपका स्टेटमेंट ऑफ पर्पस, आपका लेटर ऑफ रिकमेंडेशन, वो सब काम आता है. Basically, statement of purpose क्या है? I mean, it's an essay describing who you are, what you wish to do in the future, and how the university can help you bridge the gap. So basically, अगर आप वही मेडिकल प्रोफेशन से आपको हेल्थ केयर डोमेन में या मे बी ऐसे डोमेन में क्यों जाना है, क्या करना है, वो आपको कन्विंस करने आना चाहिए. Letter of recommendation is written by either your faculty members or places where you have worked or both of them. So those also need to be drafted, and they basically show आपने एक्सपीरियंस क्या किया है या क्या नहीं किया है, वो सब आता है उसमें. Okay, if you continue for other countries.
Yes, so almost all of the requirements say same. Only the bachelor's aggregate, here it is written as 55%, that applies to other countries. Talking specifically about Canada, the percentage requirement for these kind of programs that we're talking about should be anywhere between minimum of 65% is required, but an ideal GPA is around 70 to 75% and above. So to get into Canadian universities, this is the requirement. The basic reason for the GPA being higher is Canadian universities are very few in number, so there is equal competition to get into these top ranked universities, and hence the GPA requirement is high as the demand for these universities is high. So that's about the GPA. Overall, you won't be requiring to give GRE for these kind of programs. Some top universities, when it comes to programs like maybe biotechnology or tech related programs or stats related programs, may ask for a GRE score. Other than that, public health, MHA will not really ask for GRE. So you can choose according to the program that you are choosing. We can help you sort which kind of entrance exams are required for those courses. IELTS, an overall band of 7 to 7.5 and or a TOEFL of 100 plus will be required. The requirement again is high in this department as well, because as Hiren sir said, it's going to be a profession where communication is going to be important. So obviously universities are going to check if you are good at communicating in English. So that is one reason. Secondly, all other documents like your transcript, mark sheets, SOP, statement of purpose, as Hiren sir explained, letters of recommendation, your resume, anything else that you want to submit along with your like work experience letter or extracurricular, co-curricular activities, some webinars or any paper publications. So everything applies. These are going to be the documents that you are going to submit along with your applications. That's it from me.
Can you hear me, Hiren?
Yes.
I wanted to talk about, yeah. So basically, for Australia and New Zealand both, the minimum bachelor's aggregate written 55% stands. And of course, the more highly ranked the university, the more percentage they would require. But the minimum stands at 55%, and there are students who can get into really good universities if you have additional projects or internships or some publications or anything like that, which adds on to your profile. The only exam that is required by Australia would be, or New Zealand, would be IELTS or TOEFL. They do not require a GRE at all. And among the documents required would be the same. They would not really require the transcript. So we are okay with to go ahead with mark sheets, resume, and statement of purpose. That's about it. Like the letter of recommendations are also it depends on the student. If they have it, then it's great. If not, it's not mandatory. Akshay,
Yeah.
Akshay sir, would you like to say anything?
Sure. And when we talk about the basic requirements in Europe, so for clinical courses, we can add one more requirement, the language one, and aggregate for European countries would be somewhere around 60-65% would be a bachelor's aggregate. If you have experience, then it's fine. If you do not have any experience, then also it's okay to apply to such kind of courses across Europe. And the common documents which are required, SOP, LORs, resume, transcript, these are all the common documents which are required everywhere when we apply to Europe. Over to you, Hiren sir.
Thank you, Akshay sir. So continuing further, we have entrance exams. Ankur sir, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, before that, Ankur sir, I'll just take a minute here. Many times what happens is, especially the medical students, there are a couple of things here. A, they feel that they might not have to give the GRE. And B, what happens is, they feel that, sir, 5-6 साल हो गए, मैथ छोड़ दिया, क्या करना है लाइफ में? Okay, so I mean, that's there. But before that, Ankur sir, I would just like to run a couple of polls here.
Yeah. Sure.
Just a second, I'm just. Okay, all right. So a good number of you still have to appear for your GRE. I have one more. Guys, if you can answer. क्या लगता है अंकुर सर, क्या आंसर आएगा आपके हिसाब से?
यहाँ तो श्योरली क्वांट आएगा ज्यादा
70-80%.
70% क्वांट 130% वोबल नहीं 60% क्वांट 30% वोबल.
अच्छा चलो अंकुर सर, आपको हम आंसर दिखाते हैं अभी.
ओके 80%.
Yeah, so that's what it is like, right?
Yes.
So yeah, Ankur sir, over to you.
Yes. So guys, so I think last year we had a student. Her name was Shreya Shah, and she was very similar. really scared of quant when she started. But I happy to say, by the time we finished, she really was enjoying the lectures, and you can see her testimonial. And she scored very well. She scored, I think, 312 or something. So yeah, you guys don't have to worry about quant at all. I'll just go over the structure, and then I'll tell you a little bit about how we can prepare. So the structure is pretty straightforward. You have a essay writing section at the beginning of the test, and there are two essays to be written. One is an issue essay, one is an argument essay. You have 30 minutes each for that, and you have this score is out of 6, and that score comes after a week or so, so that it comes via mail. The verbal and quant section scores you'll get on the spot. Verbal, you'll have 2 sections each, and in each section you'll have 20 questions, and quant also you'll have 2 sections and you'll have 20 questions each. The time is the problem because it's a very time constraint. So for the verbal section you have 30 minutes, and for the quant section you have 35 minutes. Okay. Now there is one more section on that day which could be quant or verbal, which is the experimental section. Okay, so that's basically the overview of the GRE. You'll get a score out of 130 to 170 in quant and 130 to 170 in verbal. Okay, now regarding your preparation, first of all, like everyone has said, you'll have to first check whether GRE is required or not. Mostly if it is US, it may be a requirement or a recommendation. If it's even recommended, we would suggest that you write it, and don't worry about it. Like even if you get a 310 plus, it will be considered a very good score. Okay, and very much doable. So we train for GRE and we take it from the very basics. Okay, especially quant. So we start from the basics and go step by step by step, and of course we take you to the GRE level. But we do definitely start with basics, and we also have something called math review, which is like reviewing of all your basic math concepts. So that is something especially non-engineering students find it helpful to go through that, and then they start attending the lectures. So yeah, basically that is the GRE structure. We have live lectures which are going on, and if you do plan to prepare for it, do attend a demo, free demo for a quant class and a verbal class, so you'll come to know कैसा है and कैसे prepare कर सकते हैं. And also you can write a scholarship and diagnostic test on our website imperialonlineprep.com/scholarship. ओके, तो उसके ऊपर जाके आप एक डायग्नोस्टिक लिख सकते हो, और वहां पे डेमो वीडियोस है वो भी देख सकते हो. राइट, दैट्स द ओवरऑल. यस हिरे. Yes. So now TOEFL will be a requirement, either TOEFL or IELTS, as everyone has said. Generally US will prefer TOEFL and the other countries will prefer IELTS, but both the tests are very similar in the sense that they test your English skills. Both of them test your reading, listening, speaking and writing. Okay, the 4 skills that they test. So these are not very complex. They are not like GRE. It is more a test of English. GRE was rather a test of your analytical skills. So here, but यहाँ पे भी speed बहुत चाहिए. Okay, so what happens is we need to practice very well. Many times students say अरे बहुत easy है, हो जाएगा, and they don't practice enough, and then they don't end up scoring. So we need to score like TOEFL at least 100 plus, or even if you get 110 plus, it's very good. And each section you'll have to score certain about 20 or about 21, something like that. So what we do is, again, iske liye we provide the coaching, and very systematic way of practice is there, and very interesting because over here speaking is there, so you learn from each other. These are again online lectures that we have. So the basically speaking is one challenge that everyone finds, so for that, and also listening, because the American accent, to listen, to understand, sometimes it's a challenge. Even when you're speaking, we have to make sure that we don't bring in too much of our accent. So those things are there. Reading, I think, is doable. You'll be able to manage. But yeah, if you're joining our classes, we'll help you with that also. Writing is again a little challenge because there is an integrated task and independent task. So you'll have to kind of get a hold of it through practice. So our lectures again are there, live lectures are there. You're most welcome to attend a demo. Yeah, next one. IELTS is very similar, like I said, same 4 sections: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Only difference here is there is someone who is taking your, so when you're speaking, there will be someone who will be asking you questions. There will be cue cards given, things like that. So students often find IELTS a little bit easier, or in TOEFL it is all computerized. Okay, so yeah, it'll just depend on which country you are applying to. Generally, if it's US, we recommend TOEFL, and if you're applying other countries, we can do with IELTS. Okay, and very easy to score 7+. We can help you score 7+ or even 8+, no issue at all.
Okay. Before that, I would like to run a small poll. In fact, a series of 2-3 polls. Guys, if we can vote for this. कोर्सेज के अलग अलग ऑप्शन तो आपने सुन लिए, तो अभी इस पे आप डाल सकते हो आपको कौन से कोर्स के लिए जाने की इच्छा है. या है काफी, एमपीएच के लिए है काफी. नाइस. One more poll for you guys. Okay, most of you are looking for the 2021 intake, which is fine. I mean, absolutely fine. Pandemic के बाद जाना, I mean, makes sense because world will be an open economy hopefully by next year. एक यहाँ पे मतलब एक बहुत क्रिटिकल क्वेश्चन है. Yes. ये एक्चुअली मुझे स्टार्टिंग में पूछना था पर रह गया जरा अनफॉर्चुनेटली. और ये सब हेल्थ प्रोफेशनल्स हैं यहाँ पे, तो आई मीन ये आंसर बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग होंगे सुनने को. बनेत सर क्या बोलते हो आप?
Absolutely.
But yeah. Am
Last
I
time
audible,
ये
Bharat sir?
question आपने बाद में किया था. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Am I
Okay,
audible?
okay. Yeah, yeah, you are, you are. So मतलब ये आंसर देख के तो आप हिल जाओगे थोड़ा.
Okay.
हाँ. Okay. And yeah, if I have to run, ठीक है. Bharat sir, you can continue.
Okay, guys. My name is Banit. Basically, all of you guys जो आप देख रहे हैं in terms of education loan options and finances etc. Obviously, pandemic और COVID-19 की वजह से things become a bit tricky on this fact. So and obviously parents may be undergoing kind of financial constraint which will affect you. But guys, not to worry. In case you're looking at हमारे ज़माने में at about 5 to 10 years back, there were hardly any banks who used to give education loan. There were people who do not used to give education loan to paramedical, etc. They only used to give to say MBA or say MS in engineering, etc., etc. So guys, all of that is very, very positive. Now, in terms of expenses, if you're looking at United States, we'll have about 20-25 lakhs of option or loans available. The type of loans will be from nationalized banks, private banks, NBFCs. We can have international funds also. It's all of those gamut is covered under United States. The second, if those who are looking at Canada, will be about 12 to 18 lakhs per loan. Or both nationalized banks, private banks are acceptable in terms of loan letter for visa purpose. NBFC से अगर आप लेना चाहते हो तो वहां से लेके you will have to deposit into the nationalized bank. That's how you will have to do in case you're looking at this. In terms of Australia, New Zealand, etc., the same thing. For the visa purpose, nationalized banks are there. In case you're looking at NBFCs, because क्या होता है, NBFCs will come to what is the difference between the four type of options. So in case of NBFCs, if you look to go, you will have to deposit the money into Australia and New Zealand. UK is only accepted by nationalized banks. Again, if you want to show the money, to show it through an NBFC. Now, there are, for all those education loan options, there are prima facie, even in Europe, it's the same. Nationalized bank, private bank, NBFC vary from country to country. Guys, there are basically four providers you have which you can look at. One is nationalized bank, say SBI, BOB. These guys fund mainly with collateral based. They mainly look at the collateral as the prime security. Parental earning उतनी हो ना हो फर्क नहीं पड़ता उनको. Course, masters, graduate, जो भी हो, degree course हो, they will accept. Second is private banks. Private banks give loans on unsecured basis, which means they do not require a collateral. They have a list of universities which they choose to. So 200 universities hoti hai. Access, ICICI are very strong. They give home service. They do everything which is there. Third option which is available are NBFCs. NBFCs stand for non-banking finance corporations. They include something like Credila, Avance, Incred, Auxilo, etc. When they look at these options, you can choose to get a loan from them. Again, advantage is very, very strong कि अगर आपके पास property नहीं है, collateral नहीं है, फिर भी आपको वहाँ से loan मिलता है. The last but not the least are international funds or US banks. These basically are players जहाँ पे आपका they fund you non-collateral, non-cosigner, ना parental income भी नहीं चाहिए होती है on certain colleges and courses in every country. So United States के top 50, top 100, Canada के top 50, top 100, UK के top 50, top 100. So those are the ones which are looking at in that side. So if you're looking at this structure, this is where we are. Next slide, please. Okay. Now, for all the world people in this, now there's a very funny aspect. Yeah, you should be happy COVID आया. I mean, okay, not you should not be bothered कि दिया गया, but you should be happy COVID आया. आपकी industry में maximum growth होगा. That is in any economist prediction of the healthcare industry across all countries is going to grow to the maximum in case of due to COVID-19 issue or whatever. So I'm not saying you be happy or sad about it, but every industry gets affected. Say, for example, I'll give you a very small thing. Facebook, positively affected. Google, positively affected. Why? Because ad revenues, if anybody has to give an ad to you, you spend more time on the computer now or you used to spend before the lockdown. So obviously you are spending more digital time, they have more ad revenue, they are positively affected. Amazon, घर बैठे बैठे order करो, again positively affected. So you guys are going to be positively affected is what is there. This pandemic is short-lived. So please do not delay your plans post 2021. In fact, you are going to be the plan which is going to come in 2021, pass out in 2023, 2022 or 2023. When you pass out in 2022 or 2023, you are going to hit the curve. And the curve is going to be upscale. अगर आप ये देखेंगे, this is an IMF prediction, not that we have put it there. It is an IMF, which is International Monetary Fund, which is the world's leading body on the world GDP prediction. The growth rate post 2020 in 2021 and beyond is absolutely very, very strongly positive. So guys, this is where you do not worry about jobs, and especially in your sector should not worry at all. Next slide, Irene. Now comes to the question is international education still a viable option? सब कुछ देख लिया, सारी कंट्री के ऑप्शन सुन ली, फलाना फलाना हो गया जी, हमने सारा कर लिया, बट यार मन नहीं मानता. वी हैड अ स्टूडेंट हु क्रैक्ड अ वेरी नाइस जोक कि बुलाती है मगर जाने का नहीं. सो इज योर पेरेंट्स स्टिल इन दैट फीडबैक जोन? पेरेंट्स आर स्टिल सोच रहे हैं कि क्या होगा, नहीं होगा, जाना चाहिए, नहीं जाना चाहिए, पता नहीं क्या जिंदगी में करना है. So guys, let's put a few facts across to which you can explain to your parents. I think इधर ये fight हुई थी.
बुलाती है मगर जाने का नहीं.
अब बुलाती है मगर जाने का नहीं. ठीक है. So that is the parent बोलते हैं यार किधर जा रहे हो, इधर COVID-19 हो गया, चुपचाप करके घर बैठो, बाद में सोचेंगे क्या करना है. ठीक है. That is the and okay, I'm also a parent, so mentality is protectionism is the number one thing. बाकी सब बाद में क्या? Let's protect ourselves first is your natural line of defense against COVID. let's put a few facts which I think should be told to your parents or understood from a broad angle. First of all, COVID-19 is temporary. Okay, so क्या है, this figure is slightly outdated. अभी थोड़ा ज्यादा हो गया है. मैंने जब आर्टिकल बनाया था etc. Compared to other pandemics, the mortality rate etc. is comparatively low. We have had more pandemics like that. It has lasted for 1, 2, 3 years, and we have adequately got out of it. That is the first thing. Second, world economy does not change if a country spends more on research spending. Say, for example, the chart below which shows, Hiren sir, can you highlight the chart which shows the European countries spending maximum as a percentage of GDP? Yeah. So, if a country spends more as a percentage of GDP, which means the paramedical, the healthcare sector, advances in technology, is there, you at the point of in that education system are studying the latest trends in that. So guys, that does not change. So first of all, that's the first thing which will happen across the board. Next slide. So second, in terms of most employable country or by university across the board. So if you see employability by country, वही slide पे, employability by country. Okay, 250 top universities employability, out of which majority of them from US, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, etc. Top countries to work with in terms of pay packages. Okay, for the same amount of work or same kind of a thing work. Again, you see Iceland, Norway, Belgium, so mainly European countries, US and Australia, and that's the gamut of things. And those are the English-speaking countries. Those are the countries which our students generally go to. So, guys, this is an important factor for you to understand. In terms of return on investment, what you spend as an education loan, most of our students have covered in terms between, say, 2 to 3 years of your graduation, you will be able to recover the amount what you spend on education. In fact, it is better than, sometime better than in India. So all you guys who are worried of COVID-19, 3, 4, 5 जो आपने इतना बोला है, you have to think of it that COVID is an international phenomena. इंडिया में भी होता है, बाहर भी होगा, जैसे सब जगह is the same situation. The more like my brother-in-law, so the economists in the world are predicting that the richer countries which have more stronger healthcare systems will be able to take care of this pandemic slightly better than the ones who have limited healthcare system. So guys, if you're moving in terms of, and by most of the time when you're looking to fly, there should be a vaccine. Pfizer का अभी CEO का आया, it's the front line. Why should companies not make profit in COVID-19? There's an article because the world is moving that you should give it for free. ठीक है, and इसने आर्टिकल डाला है कि क्यों नहीं हमको क्यों नहीं पैसे बनाने को मिलने चाहिए, मतलब so people are in the stage of getting COVID-19 vaccine out. There will be a COVID-19 vaccine for sure. Believe in the researchers of the world.
But most of the audience members are doctors, so I mean, वो लोग इनमें से कोई खुद काम कर रहा होगा शायद से वैक्सीन पे.
Exactly. तो क्यों नहीं तुमको था opportunity, तो so that is what. So people will move in that direction. So guys, this is over. This is where I hope that worried angle change होता हुआ थोड़ा दिखाई दे वैसे, and it should come to 1, 2, 3 guys instead of 3, 4, 5.
Just launching another poll.
Okay, now. Okay. So this is about secured finances. I wanted about this thing. क्या कहते हैं? COVID concerns. See this.
हाँ मैं करता हूँ. I'll do that.
COVID. Okay, so this is pretty mixed bag. So some are very big, some are fully funded, some are bechara. So all those 4, 5 out there, reach out to us. We'll solve your problem.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is the one which I hope people have. So guys, the facts which we have put in our presentation.
Your speech has worked. Look, see.
So guys, these facts need to be put to your parents, because we are all Indians. End of the day, this decision is a family decision. We work as a family unit rather than independent unit. So guys, and any query, any question, any test, I think we are all here. All 5 of us are here, and we have what other 35 people across Imperial who are ready to help and support and give correct information.
Yeah, so there have been some questions. There's a question tab, students. If you want to ask questions, you can ask us questions. Akshay sir, would you like to take this over?
Yeah. So we, as we have almost done with this session. So we are Imperial Overseas. So we have been into this counseling field for the past 9 to 10 years now. And we have 5 branches. Last page pe aapko branch addresses dikh jayenge. We have 3 in Mumbai and 2 in Pune. So do reach out to us, and we are there to help you. And all the counselors, the USP of us is all the counselors whom you interact with have already studied abroad, and they will give you the right guidance in the right manner. And yes, we have been sending a lot of students abroad. And next slide, sir.
Just a second, sir. If people can answer this. Yeah. People are worried either towards the entrance exams or mostly towards the loan or finance part. Yeah. Course selection and all, I guess students are more or less clear what they want. That's actually a very good thing. Yes, Akshay sir, you can continue.
Next slide, please. Yeah. Yeah, so as discussed in this session, we'll be helping you right from your training to your visa, your GRE, GMAT, IELTS, TOEFL. As Ankur sir also rightly said, we have all online systems in place. We have completely gone online, and right from your training to counseling, everything will be taken care online. And also our branch offices are open on appointment basis. So you can definitely reach out to us, and then you can definitely come and meet us. But yes, like we'll be helping you. These are the 5 branches which we were discussing about: Borivali, Santa Cruz, Thane, Hinjewadi, and Kothur.
Yeah, so you can visit any of the branches. I mean, as per your convenience, no problem at all.
Okay,
Certainly, ma'am, your
majority are
branch.
Borivali and Thane.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and Yamuna sir branch. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So guys, these are some of the admits that we have of our students who have secured some admits in the recent past to historically large evidence. I mean, so these are for different
Yeah.
courses and different domains. Most of them were from the healthcare sector. Yeah. Many of them have even
We can be
received
one of
some
the.
kind of scholarships here. Yeah, sir. What are you saying?
So I was saying ki there is obviously a lot of students who walk into our offices with healthcare, paramedical healthcare across the board, and that's a substantial part of the students we send. It's about 20-odd%
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
students we
absolutely.
send, and because the scope, the scope of opportunity, the scope of growth, like all you people put in the kind of growth in the sector, like Canada, I remember that 8% is for healthcare, and there is 1% for baki tab duniya mein. So
Yeah,
due
yeah.
to the aging population, huge demand coming in, and these sectors will definitely go ahead. I mean, there's going to be a huge demand globally for this.
Yes. And these are our Facebook and Instagram pages. We conduct regular live sessions. We just ended with our first season of Get Candid with Imperial. We'll be starting with something new on Monday, but yeah, these are our social media handles. You can follow us and you'll get regular updates from our end as well. Yes. These are our offices, like 3 in Bombay, Santa Cruz, Borivali, and Thane. In fact, I'm sitting out of the Santa Cruz branch right now. After the webinar is done, I'll be heading for home. Yeah, rest all my panelists are sitting at home. I am the one sitting in the office right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so Banat sir, actually more or less whatever questions were there from the students, and we have covered almost all of them in the webinar session that we had just now.
Okay, fair enough, makes sense. Guys, this is just the starting point. Just Hiren is sitting in the office. He is there to attend the people. Sonali ma'am can be met in Thane across the board. Akshay sir can be met in Hinjewadi and Kothurud. I can be met again anywhere across all the 5. Hiren sir also anywhere across the 5. Harkaran sir also anywhere across the 5. So wherever you are, reach out to us and we will be most happy to help you. I am very keen to solve your problem of that 67%. So
Yes,
you can talk
absolutely.
to me immediately and first get that sorted and then start the process.
And everyone, thank you for being a patient audience on a Saturday evening. I'm sure you might have some plans from home from now. I mean, it's evening. Saturday के लिए रात अभी जवान है.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, thank you everyone.
Thank
And
you so
yeah,
much.
any doubts,
Take
please
care.
reach out to us. You have our phone numbers here. You have our email ID as well. You reach out to us. We'll solve all your doubts.
Thank you guys
Thank
for
you.
being
Thank
here.
you for attending. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.